Wednesday, June 25th. Market analysis, Stan Ehrlich, about 10 o'clock California time. You know, I start out with the indexes. I go to futures, and I've got a few stocks I'm following. And I sometimes talk about seasonal cycles, psychology of trading, a variety of other things, chart formations, typically. So we've got a market that popped up in a new high ground yesterday, and that's not quite overbought, but very close, because there's a little bit more follow through to the upside today, slightly higher highs in general. But the market is floundering and now around or a little bit lower than yesterday's closing price, allowing for the possibility of a bearish engulfing, which I'd love to see, because I am thinking that this market is in the process of topping out at a significant historical support area, a resistance area, which is the November, December, February in general highs, and very close to overbought conditions. And we now have a couple of gaps up yesterday on the SPY and the QQQ because they didn't trade for 23 hours. Now, any kind of a lower close today would make me smile slightly. I really doubt if we're going to get below yesterday's lows, maybe on the spider and the QQQ, because they're higher than the lows that were made on the futures contracts. They're a lot lower. So here we are. We could very well bounce off of the previous highs of the last week or two. That would be support. It's not a lot. And if that happens, I'm forced to talk about the market holding very well and progressing to the upside to get overbought and maybe challenge the previous stops more accurately. We'll see. But a lot of characteristics developing that imply it's going to roll over very soon. Let's take a look at the 1 minute chart on this E-mini. Frankly, if it starts to dribble off below 61.38 and make a new low for this session, then we could see some increased weakness faster. And there's a couple of very minor levels to watch. 61.08 relative to whether it's going to continue to slide or not. So let's go to the S&P, SPY, smaller range, possible bearish engulfing, not quite overbought, but divergences is another reason. And you've got double divergences here. You had on the overbought condition June 11th already a divergence, and then a bullish engulfing happened on Monday of this week, and we have it getting pushed up into new high ground for a couple of days. But we are right in the resistance area where the top three important previous highs have developed, and with a gap to close below the market and being very close to overbought, and then that divergence. I think this is a setup for a move down. Now, the key here is to close below the low of this week, and that would be Monday's low. Doing that without going much higher, if at all, would cause me to be a lot more expectant of much more break. So, whatever I meant to say, SPY is dribbling off a little bit, trying to make new lows. Lot to go here. QQQ gapped up. I should put a little marker for the SPY and the QQQ where the gap is. I'll do that immediately. And this is just for the Qs right at the high of Friday. Oops, I did the wrong thing, and it was the... Okay, this is what I think I need. Yep, okay. And that gap should be closed. Gaps are almost always closed. We've seen a lot of them in the last couple of months. And there's one right there. Closed damn accurately, too. Wow. Dipped down. Took about a week. Okay, so maybe the same thing will happen again. I'm just going to watch to see how it acts when it gets down to close the gap, which is it's fairly likely to do. Next chart is the QQQ. And, of course, it only has a shorter time frame for trading, 6.5 hours. Excuse me. And has been making minor new lows for the session this morning, but has a long way to go to get below yesterday's lows. And the daily data did not get overbought. So you were not going to turn red. What about the NASDAQ? Didn't get overbought. Double, triple, divergence, quadruple, if you want to call it that. Very rare. Up into major resistance areas. Again, trading at the ranges where it topped out before December, January, February. So this area that we're in, around the same levels where it topped out, again, December, January, February, is very important and could develop a very broad double top. Next, NASDAQ session, not even close to the new lows, but starting to slip off a little. It's going to take a lot more to really cause me to be excited about the short side, but I think I have a right to talk about it because of the way it's acting, and the resistance has stopped yesterday's rally point blank in the YM. That is the third time now since March that this level has been pretty accurate as far as stopping a rally, and of course we're not down very much at the moment. But this is a doji, an inside trading range, normally not that important, except this resistance area is significant. Now, let's see what happens next. Looking for more of a dip, and this is making new lows already on the YM. Russell, I do want to point out a horrendously important red resistance area where it already topped out, getting overbought back on June 11th-ish, and couldn't make it this time up and slipping off a little bit at the moment. But look how important this resistance area is, going back really to 2020, 4 or 5 years. So it seems to be doing it again. And we're going to make a new lows, it looks like, very shortly. And also breaking a modestly important support area from yesterday. Pardon my cough. Now, bonds. Higher high, but almost exactly, or does that look familiar? Dow Jones, YM. So, right smack at previous highs. It stopped rallying this morning, turned down a little lower in the day at the moment. No reversals yet, not overbought, but it's slowly creeping its way up, relatively slowly in this last month after being oversold. And we got a couple of bullish engulfings. So I am slightly friendly here, slowly, but now there could be that dip down, I don't know, 12, 28, somewhere in the 112, maybe middle, upper 112, and then back up. 10-year notes, a new high today, but having a little trouble, down a few ticks at the moment at a resistance area that has stopped it before. Again, time for it to dribble back down somewhat, not going up too fast. This is a slow stair-stepping up market so far. Crude, a whopper of a bearish engulfing on Monday, big downside follow-through on Tuesday, down to a support area. How about that? Bounced off of it yesterday and is maintaining levels above it today and is a little higher than yesterday's close. So we're bouncing slightly after coming down so fast and so furious. It's okay. And as a matter of fact, I don't know, probably back up to 69.70, somewhere in that ballpark. It's hard to tell, but that looks like a good spot to watch. Also, we got a sell signal on Friday of last week in the natural gas. Hey, that's crude and natural gas both. It came down on Monday and Tuesday, and it's lower today again. But something is wrong here. This should not be fiddling around where the necklines are. Now, I have two necklines in this case because both are sort of legitimate. One of them spans an extremely interesting time frame from November 22nd of last fall all the way until last week. Both of the rally highs, June 20 of 25, and the rally high on November 22nd of 24 contain a bearish engulfing ER sell signal that worked so far so good. And they're only a one-day different count from those individual highs to the top of the market. That's off only by 1 day. The symmetry is ridiculously good. And you can make a case for if you don't like the pivot points to be across the lows after the shoulders or before the shoulder, which would be there and there, you would make a case for the pivot point to be off of that low, because I was talking about a little double shoulder here and a little double shoulder there and thought the pivot point was there. Now, guess what? Both of them are so close together at the current time frame that it's ridiculous. We should not be sitting around doing a lot of nothing at the moment. We should be very volatile, dropping like a rock and maybe going down as low as 3.22 to a little support in like one big fell swoop. Classic downside breakout. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow if we close where we are or even a little tiny bit higher. I do not want any kind of major upside reversal point blank. It's okay, but unusual that it just sit here for a moment and then maybe tomorrow. This is going to be interesting to see how it develops. This is a definite pivot point for a lot lower, and I'm forecasting a 1 for the downside objective, and we're at 3.4, almost 3.5. Or this whole thing is going to go sideways more and probably turn up big. Next is another bearish engulfing on heating oil. Huge, like crude. Down yesterday even more. Today is basically unchanged, up just a little tiny bit. Doji could go down more. It's already gotten to my first downside support area, 2.22. I'm definitely thinking it could come down to 2.09 and maybe even 2.06. Maybe lower. Bearish, bouncing off support momentarily. Maybe a little more bounce and then down again. Next, gold, silver, platinum, copper. Dribbling off. I've been starting to talk about it between a rock and a hard spot, and guess what? It's a rock anyway. So the point here is it came up to resistance at 34.75-ish and stopped again. Now it's coming down into an area that's not quite as well defined, except a little horizontal level here at 3230.6.5. Yeah, okay, 3230, good enough. That's quite plausible. Plus, we might be down to a little trend line. Let's pull these over to the right a little bit more. There we go, yep. Oh, didn't let go of it, got sticky. All right. So, next is silver. We already got up to a major resistance level, got overbought, and it didn't stop really, but it got back a couple of times, made new highs, and couldn't follow through. Yesterday, you've now made new lows without a new low close, lower than the previous lows. That's a key. And at the moment, it is up a little on the day. So I don't know. Maybe this is going to get stuck in a trading range also, like gold seems to have been caught in. Otherwise, overbought conditions. A little divergence top caused me to believe coming back to support again to 33.62 is not out of the question. Platinum. We got a sell signal that didn't work. It made a new high. But remember, these are sometimes part of topping out process. This is a new high close potentially for platinum. It's not acting like the others. It's acting pretty strong, but it is in a profound area of resistance. Let's see where this goes back to. Oh, yeah. And it goes, it's going back a long time. Whoa. 10 years? Yep, 10 years. Very, very broad. Got up to the top of it, though. Maybe it could do it one more time up to 1372-ish. Can't quite figure this one out for the moment. Well, probably should shut up at this moment. Okay, copper. Resistance area is fine. We're up above it a little bit at the moment, trying to break out to the upside. If we can close here or higher, then you're probably going to push to the highs made about 3 weeks ago. And since we're not overbought yet, we might be if we get up there, though, up to 5.05. But still, I couldn't rule out another third time all the way up to 5.4. This is acting pretty strong, and it's not overbought yet. Remember, when you get overbought, you do not necessarily get it for only one day like that high. You can, and that's about a week. This was approximately a week. This was about a week, 2 days, about a week and a half, 2 days. You can spend some time in these overbought or oversold conditions. So it's a warning to watch for, oh my God, the bullish engulfing ER buy signal, green on April 9th, and tell people that this could be a very important turn, which it was. So maybe some more strength here, short term. And what do we got? Grains. Oh boy, got a mixed bag here. Soybeans are looking worse. They're breaking down. They're not holding. Support has been broken. I mentioned this yesterday. Now I'm going to be looking for 10.03 down to 9.96, 9.95, and maybe even lower. Next, bearish engulfing at the top of the rally in soybean oil, dropped like a rock Monday that is, from Friday's reversal, and dropped off yesterday some more. Looks like it gapped down slightly. Now that's interesting because gaps are almost always closed. And there is a very small gap there. So let's just put a marker real quick. And that's good enough. I think that we're going to bounce up and close the gap and then hit new lows. Now, we don't have to close the gap right away. It can take weeks and even longer. Usually it's fairly soon. We've got some support. We're coming down and closing an older gap from only a week and a half ago. So that's being closed. Isn't that interesting? The high is trying to close a gap above and the low is trying to close more of a gap below. I don't think I've seen that before. So I'm going to vote down first, then bounce, and then down again. Meal. Terrible. New lows by a long shot. All I can say here is too much bearishness, too quick, too fast. We are at 11.6 on the RSI. Today's RSI low could be at 10 or lower. It is at 11.23. That's so close to 10, obviously, and under, that when if it still could, and it could, hit 10 or lower, I'd scream bloody murder that this week it's probably going to turn up, that we are close to the low in price. We're going down too much, too quick, too fast, and that's exactly what I'm going to say. But we didn't get to my little threshold of 10, so I'm not quite screaming, but real close. And we also have a falling RSI and new lows in corn. It broke lows going all the way back to August of 24. What can I say? Lower levels, stair-stepping its way down. Now it is oversold, so it could rally back up to where? 423.5 and turn down again? Yeah, probably. Next, wheat is about to do the same thing, it looks like. It's dropping down from a resistance area, which it almost got overbought in, and dropping to the last vestige of support. Now, also, there's one at 522. But right here, you're not even close to oversold. I think it's going to drop through the support area and slide even more. Next, we have Shell, a stock. Well, it slam dunked earlier this morning, unless it's bad data. Sometimes you get bad data. Watch for bad data. To a support area, almost exactly, and came back a lot. It looks a little suspicious, but if it's true, and it should be, we closed the gap. That's been done now. End of story. Put the little gap measuring thing over to the left a slight bit. Okay, now what? Trend is up. Last 2 months and a half. Giant buy signal smack dab on the low day. That's why I invented DR signals. Also, so far, smack dab sell signal on the high with a double top possibility. I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to say anything at the moment on that. Apple, support below and pretty good. Resistance, that trend line has stopped it so far. This is the fourth time. We almost have a bearish engulfing. We could. These markets start to loosen up and drop more. Apple could have a easy bearish engulfing. Now, it's not overbought, so I'm not going to get red, but we are confined within this bearish trend line. And support is close by. If support doesn't hold, below 193 is a bit of a no man's land. Could drop all the way down to 170. Next, Tesla. Resistance, stop a rally. Durable off a little bit yesterday. Doji. But today we're breaking Monday's lows. Challenging minor lows last week. Not too much to say here either. Looks like resistance is confining the rally highs. Support so far has held on dips. We got a buy signal at the low there. That's good. And what do we got? Carvana. Got oversold. Little support. Came back up. Closed the gap. Couple days, Friday. And I don't know. Is this building a top of some sort? You could make a case for a possible shoulder. The head is a little lopsided timing-wise. Maybe not too much so. Quickie measurement here from the highest high to the high of the market. That's the number of days. You measure from the high of the market to the right, and you've got still a couple more days. Oh, okay, do it this way. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. So the shoulder's too soon. Possibilities. Okay, last one here. E-mini again. Bouncing back. Support held. And that's the sessions, trading session support. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.